I am Lyra, a young magician with a thirst for adventure. My love for magic and curiosity about the world has led me on many exciting journeys. Today, I find myself in the midst of another adventure, one that I will never forget. I had received a message from a wealthy merchant requesting my assistance in retrieving a precious gem from a dungeon. The gem was said to be cursed, but the merchant was willing to pay a high price for its retrieval. I was intrigued by the challenge and the promise of a great reward, so I accepted the task. The journey to the dungeon was long and treacherous. I traveled through dense forests, climbed steep mountains, and crossed raging rivers. I faced many challenges along the way, but I used my magical abilities to overcome them. I created a bridge of ice to cross a freezing river, summoned a gust of wind to help me climb a steep cliff, and used my powers of illusion to fool a group of bandits who tried to rob me. Finally, I arrived at the entrance of the dungeon, a dark and foreboding place that seemed to exude an aura of danger. I approached the entrance cautiously, knowing that danger lay ahead. With my magical abilities, I cast a spell of light to illuminate the darkness. I took a deep breath and stepped into the dungeon, ready for whatever lay ahead. The first few rooms were empty, with nothing but dusty cobwebs and broken furniture. I wondered if this was all there was to the dungeon, but I pressed on. As I ventured deeper, the rooms became more elaborate and dangerous. I encountered traps and puzzles, each one more complex than the last. In one room, I had to avoid a series of hidden spikes that shot up from the floor. In another, I had to use my magical abilities to create a bridge over a pool of acid. I encountered all kinds of creatures as well. Giant spiders lurked in one room, their webs stretching from wall to wall. In another, I faced a group of goblins who attacked me with spears and arrows. I used my magic to overcome these challenges, but I knew that the real test was yet to come. As I ventured deeper into the dungeon, I could feel the air growing thicker and more oppressive. The walls seemed to close in on me, and I felt as though I was being watched by unseen eyes. Finally, I arrived at a massive room with a large pedestal in the center. On the pedestal was the cursed gem, shining brightly in the dim light. As I approached the gem, I felt a strange sensation in my body, as if something was trying to control me. I knew that the curse was powerful and that I needed to act fast. I used my magical powers to create a shield around myself, protecting me from the curse's influence. With a steady hand, I reached out and picked up the gem. As soon as I touched it, I felt a surge of energy flow through me. The curse was trying to take hold, but I fought back with all my strength. Using my magic, I was able to weaken the curse and break its hold on the gem. With the curse lifted, I felt a sense of relief and accomplishment. I carefully placed the gem in my bag and began to make my way back to the surface. But my adventure was not over yet. As I reached the entrance, I was ambushed by a group of bandits, intent on stealing the gem for themselves. I knew that I was outnumbered, but I refused to give up without a fight. I cast a spell of fire, engulfing the bandits in flames. The bandits screamed in agony as the flames consumed them. I quickly scanned the area, searching for any other threats, but there was no one else in sight. Breathing heavily, I checked to make sure that the gem was still safe in my bag. I was relieved to find it unharmed. However, my victory was short-lived. Suddenly, I heard a low growl coming from behind me. I turned around to see a massive dragon, its scales glistening in the firelight. The dragon's eyes locked onto the bag containing the gem, and I knew that I was in trouble. I had never faced a dragon before, but I knew that they were incredibly powerful creatures, with thick scales that could withstand even the strongest magic. I needed to think fast if I was going to survive. With a deep breath, I began to cast a spell of ice, hoping to freeze the dragon in place. However, the dragon was too quick for me. It lunged forward, its jaws opening wide to reveal razor-sharp teeth. I quickly dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding the dragon's attack. As I moved, I cast a spell of illusion, creating multiple copies of myself in an attempt to confuse the dragon. The dragon roared in frustration, trying to determine which image was the real me. I took advantage of the dragon's confusion to cast a spell of telekinesis, lifting a large boulder and hurling it at the creature. The boulder struck the dragon's side, causing it to roar in pain and anger. I knew that I had to keep up the pressure if I was going to have any chance of defeating the dragon. I cast a spell of fire, sending a stream of flames toward the creature. However, the dragon simply shrugged off the attack, its scales protecting it from the heat. I could feel my magical reserves beginning to run low, and I knew that I couldn't keep up this level of intensity for much longer. I needed to find a way to take down the dragon before it was too late. Suddenly, I remembered a spell that I had learned long ago, a spell that was said to be capable of defeating even the strongest dragon. It was a risky spell, one that I had never attempted before, but I knew that it was my only hope. With trembling hands, I began to cast the spell. It took all of my concentration and focus, but I managed to channel enough energy to make it work. A beam of pure energy shot out from my hands, striking the dragon in the chest. The dragon roared in pain, its scales cracking and falling away as the energy consumed it. I could feel the spell draining me of my energy, but I refused to give up. I continued to pour everything I had into the spell until finally the dragon let out one last roar and fell to the ground, motionless. I collapsed to the ground, exhausted but triumphant. I had faced my greatest challenge yet and had emerged victorious. I retrieved the gem from my bag and held it up to the light, admiring its beauty. As I made my way back through the countryside, I reflected on the adventure I had just had. It had been difficult and dangerous, but it had also been exhilarating and rewarding. I knew that I would always remember this journey and the lessons I had learned along the way. From that day on, I continued to seek out new adventures, always pushing the boundaries of my magical abilities and exploring the unknown. For me, the thrill of the journey was always worth the risks and challenges that lay ahead.